Please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we are going to be starting with Elon Musk, X, and Rumble, which also means Google as well. Elon Musk on Twitter has been very vocal about everything, whether it be the UK riots, supporting Donald Trump, chastising Kamala Harris, whether it be the fact that his platform is losing advertisers, whether it be Google getting into a bit of trouble themselves when it comes to some, let's say, fair play or lack thereof. Elon Musk is very much on this, and because I can rate community posts, under virtually every single one of his tweets, I will see rate proposed community notes, the vast majority of which typically say no note needed. Stop abusing community notes. So to show his disdain for mainstream media, for Google, for the UK riots or the Labour government, how it's been misinterpreted and such, and it is quite a contentious subject, we're not going to be discussing it here, don't worry. Elon Musk had retweeted Chris Pavlovski. Chris Pavlovski is the CEO of Rumble. I have a Rumble channel over there, by the way. You should all go subscribe. They do a reward scheme thing as well, like a play button, but it's a trophy. Yeah, I want it. Google just found out they can't rig the search market to exclude their competitors anymore, and soon a cabal of advertisers and agencies will find out that they can't arbitrarily engineer a boycott of Rumble and X. We've joined X to sue them, and we'll see them in court. This is because Google has been negatively impacted by the fact that they can no longer control what news people can or cannot see. While I did say that we won't be discussing the riots, certainly in this video anyway, it is worth pointing out that outside of the United Kingdom, certain articles covering consequences for protesting and riots cannot be viewed by those outside of the United Kingdom. I don't believe that to be right. I firmly believe in all information being available for everyone. Elon Musk retweeted Chris by saying, "We tried being nice for 2 years and got nothing but empty words. Now it is war." With Chris replying, "Agreed, it's war." This feels like an extension of the culture war, which is, I know, a bit of a cringy term, but it does feel like an extension of it. If you were present, prominent, or active, then you'll understand. There is a similarity. It could also be regarded a false equivalence if you want. I don't care. I said similar, not totally the same. Later, so 2 minutes later, Elon had retweeted Linda Yaccarino, who had put out an open letter to advertisers as an article on this platform, with 2 rate proposed community notes attached to it. There's lots in there that says no note needed, so NNN, or community note not required, please stop abusing it. Elon again retweeting Linda by saying, "We tried peace for 2 years, now it is war." At present, Twitter is one of the biggest news hosting sites in the world. It is one of the biggest. Whether it is accurate or not is not as relevant as you might think. Certainly when we cite news articles in this video series or any video I've ever done, we know it comes from a source that holds a relatively low credibility score within the wider space. So to say that X is not an accurate source or is akin to that of Wikipedia is no different to mainstream media then, really, is it? That does not mean then I hold it as credible. I'm only highlighting the fact that it is actually surging in ratings of use. Credibility is a separate issue, and it depends which outlet reports on the credibility aspect of it, or where they derive their source material from, to determine whether or not X is a credible source for news. Linda Yaccarino wrote, "Every day hundreds of millions of people come to X to be part of the only global real-time conversation." That might be slightly inaccurate. They come to share their thoughts and hear others, to share their content and see more, to debate and be debated, to entertain and be entertained. Blah blah blah. The power of this community to bring global conversations to life was the reason I was so excited to join X as CEO in June 2023. The part that matters. After a career in media and advertising, I thought I'd seen everything. Then I read the US House of Representatives Judiciary Committee's report entitled Global Alliance for Responsible Media. The report disclosed that their investigation had found evidence of an illegal boycott against many companies, including X. As their report found, evidence obtained by the committee shows that GARM and its members directly organized boycotts and used other indirect tactics to target disfavored platforms, content creators, and news organizations in an effort to demonetize and in effect limit certain choices for consumers. The consequences, perhaps the intent of this boycott, was to seek to deprive X users, be they sports fans, gamers, journalists, activists, parents, or political and corporate leaders, of the global town square. This behavior is a stain on a great industry and cannot be allowed to continue. X has filed an antitrust lawsuit against the Global Alliance for Responsible Media and World Federation of Advertisers and GARM members, CVS Health, Mars, Orsted, and Unilever. This is not a decision we took lightly, but is a direct consequence of their action. The illegal behavior of these organizations and their executives cost X billions of dollars. Oh, this is going to get interesting now, isn't it? Because that committee report is very important. Some have said that organizations can do whatever they want when it comes to advertisers. You can do whatever you want. You can sponsor or not sponsor. You can endorse. You can not endorse. But to know that a bigger body has been dictating what you can and can't be a part of, controlling what you can and cannot see, no, that's not good. This is an interesting time to be alive. Let's go with that. And this segment of this video is going to serve as an opener, a starter, a taster for what may well happen in the future as this unfolds. The political landscape is quite charged, and I could imagine for a moment if something like the House shifted from red to blue, that the perspective of this may well change too. You never know. But the information is now out there. Therefore, this could go really badly for a number of companies, Google especially. I say could. You never know with the legal system these days. On to the next subject. On this channel, I've done an entire video series on a person called Shamima Begum. Shamima, at the age of 15, traveled to Syria, joined ISIS, lived in Raqqa, turned to rubble, utopia shattered, lives now in a prison camp. She's now 24 years old. She has repeatedly challenged to come back to the United Kingdom. Back then when it was queried, Sajid Javid, the then Home Secretary, said, nah. Subsequent Home Secretaries have said, nah, because they believe that Sajid Javid was correct in revoking the citizenship of Shamima Begum based on national security grounds. I don't think she helped herself when she said that the bombing of Manchester concert was deserved because of what was happening in Raqqa. Now, she has had another appeal that I did not know was happening, and on August the 7th we got a ruling on it. Justices at the UK's highest court, the Supreme Court, have said that Shamima could not appeal against an earlier Court of Appeal ruling as the grounds of her case do not raise an arguable point of law. This was the last chance, as reported by the BBC, so could be inaccurate, but I do believe they're correct in this one, to challenge the revocation of her citizenship within the UK legal system. However, and I had speculated this could happen, but it's going to get a lot more expensive, her lawyers have told the BBC they would take the case to the European Court of Human Rights. Now, the European Court of Human Rights is not connected to the EU, so don't try me. The European Court of Human Rights often do actually vote in favour of those like Shamima, those who need citizenship returned. Her argument is based on being stateless. However, she does have Bangladeshi roots, and that is where the government holds firm, although her subsequent reviews of appeals and appeals of reviews of appeals, yes, have all ended badly because the argumentation presented also tried to argue she was a changed person, she was GROOMED'd, and it gets quite muddy, but the law was quite clear on this when it came to what the Home Office could actually do. I know that as time has gone by there is more sympathy towards Shamima because of her age and what I've just stated. I understand that. It is possible that a government could in the future change its mind on this, but for the sake of optics right now in the United Kingdom, I do not believe Keir Starmer would want to, because that would, if anything, invigorate even more protesting. So he has to play an optics game that he doesn't know how to play yet, and he really doesn't know how to play that game. His handling of this situation with the riots in the United Kingdom is great evidence of it. You don't solve problems through, let's say, blaming and stoking with buzzwords. No. You also don't virtue signal. No. You heal by talking together and amicably coming to a resolution. But apparently that's not possible because I'm too idealist in this one. Shamima currently remains in a camp that is controlled by armed guards in northern Syria. The Supreme Court justices also affirmed an earlier ruling which found those concerns which are raised around whether or not she was trafficked, to bear no material bearing on the decision of the appeal under UK law. Her lawyers have said, "It's a matter of the gravest concern that British women and children have been arbitrarily imprisoned in a Syrian camp for 5 years, all detained indefinitely without any prospect of a trial. All other countries in the UK's position have intervened and achieved the return of their citizens and their children." Maya Foa, the director of human rights charity Reprieve, has said that exiling British nationals like Ms Begum is about politics, not the law. The prior government's failed do-nothing approach must be abandoned. Our politicians should take responsibility and repatriate the small number of British families in this position so their cases can be dealt with here in Britain. If Keir Starmer did, with what is going on right now in the United Kingdom, it would be very literal career suicide for him. He knows this, so if he ever did decide to give Shamima the right to come back, to repatriate and prosecute her here, he would not prosecute her at all, because he would rather threaten people with 10-year prison sentences for mean words on the internet. Don't forget here, he literally prosecuted somebody for a joke on Twitter when he was a part of the Crown Prosecution Services. If he allowed her back into the country within the first year or two of his first term, he'd guarantee he doesn't get a second. He has to play a politics game. And legally, the Home Office did what it legally was allowed to do 5 years ago. The Supreme Court has now confirmed it. Recently on Twitter, Drama Alert had posted a video. I think I can show the video without getting into too much trouble. It concerns a teenage YouTuber in Nebraska who, for clout, decided to take it upon himself to flip a switch on a train track. The padlock for that particular switch was missing, and what he had done was lead a train to crash into something else that was stationary on the tracks. Also, he could record it and upload it to his YouTube channel for clout. Here is the clip.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my freaking god! Oh my god, are they okay? Oh my god.
Now this happened earlier on in the year, on April the 21st at a crossing in Bennett, Nebraska. The derailment caused around $200,000 in damages to BNSF locomotives and property, and at least $150,000 in damages to Omaha Public Power District property. The YouTuber in question is a train enthusiast, so they knew exactly how the system worked. This was confirmed because when they were approached by an investigator, they knew exactly what they were talking about. The suspicion arose because of that. I tend to agree in this with Drama Alert because he faces up to 7 years in prison for a little bit of clout. The length some will go to get attention is unnecessary. If you are that desperate to stand out, I highly recommend you go home and get a cuddle from your parents. Clearly you were neglected, I understand that. If that doesn't work, why don't you try and make some friends? There are many train societies and clubs in the online space and in the real world. I like trains, by the way, but I like trains when they work, not when there is actual harm potentially being caused to people and property. Also, I like N-Gauge. It's smaller, which means I can fit more in. It's cool. To the final subject, we need to talk about Spotify. Daniel Ek of late has taken a lot of flack. He's taken flack because he said that it costs nothing to make music, which is wrong. It costs time and money. He recently upped the fee for using Spotify, yet this does not at any point monetarily benefit the artists with an increase in per 1,000 listens share, which by the way is quite low already. At the end of 2023, he laid off a vast number of workers, citing budget cuts. 17% of the workforce, by the way, were laid off. And yet, in the second quarter of this year, Spotify announced record profits of 3.81 billion euros, or 3.2 billion pounds. It also demonetized all songs that have less than 1,000 streams, which has affected virtually all artists that are up and coming. Recently, it came to light that Spotify founder has earned more from the platform than any artist has ever. In the last year, he made $345 million. Essentially, he is the most successful artist to never release a song. This startling statistic was revealed by the royalties accountant Hunter Giles in his IC newsletter. In it, he calculates the cash-out value of the shares the top executives at Spotify own and calculate how many streams. His earnings would equate to 115 billion streams. To date, Taylor Swift, who is the top streamed artist on the platform, has 76 billion. She doesn't get most of that, by the way, because of who owns a lot of her older music. Another Spotify executive, who has shares worth $166.8 million, is 55.6 billion streams, which would make him the 9th most streamed artist of all time. There is big criticism to be levied at Spotify for the vast amounts of money paid out to the shareholders, but not to the artists that make the platform exist in the first place. I can understand why many criticize the platform for having lower quality audio, which is a Neil Young criticism and a valid one at that. I can understand deadmau5's criticism when Ek had said it costs nothing to make music. I can understand when many artists that I listen to who have vastly lower numbers complain they make nothing from streaming. Not just because the record label doesn't have it in their contract, because when streaming platforms first started, the label got all of that money, but also when they do get it, they get virtually nothing from millions of listens. When people say there is no money to be made in the music industry and it's like working a minimum wage job without actually earning minimum wage and you're lower, there is a point to it when predatory systems like Spotify exist. I'm not against shareholders making a large sum of money because they're a shareholder in a big company. I'm against the artist not being paid fairly for their work. And fairly would be higher than the rates they currently receive. Because if you can make that much on your shares, then it would indicate that there is a lot more money available and you just, well, you agreed a rather crappy premium, let's face it. Come on, this looks like a pyramid scheme, and you know I'm right. This is one of many reasons why, while I do listen to Spotify, I still buy the music, I still go to live shows. I buy the band merch because I want to support them. And I know Avenged Sevenfold said that by buying the music, by buying the merch, by going to the live shows, you're not supporting the band really. I'm not sure I want to listen too much to a band that is so heavily invested in crypto and whose singer openly said, and I quote, paraphrase, let's go with that if an AI voice could replace him, he'd be okay with it. Your last album was dog shit, but it was surprisingly accurate for society at present.